we're running out of things to say about the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, listen, I know most of those guys in the team are, they're playing their hearts out. They want to win. It's just not a good team. It's a bad team, and it's just gotten to the point where it's almost farcical in terms of how they manage to lose games. I mean, it's like they've pretty much, other than maybe what's next? What's next? Could it be they'll lose on a walk-off pitch clock violation? Maybe they haven't done that one yet, or they'll lose on a walk-off balk. I know there are other ways they can lose games, but this whole season has been about the Cardinals exploring, wandering into trouble, looking for a new way to lose a game every night. They're running out of new ways to do it. And last night they gave us Jordan Hicks, after Jordan Walker in the top of the ninth with 2 outs, 2 strikes, Cardinals down by a run. He hit one 440 feet. It was just like a mammoth home run, just beautiful, exciting. One of the big hits, big home runs of the season. Really a definite highlight, very wonderful. So that thing traveled 440 feet. The only problem is in the bottom of the ninth, trying to protect the 1-run lead. Runners on first and second. Jordan Hicks in to close. He fielded the ball cleanly, hit right back to him. No problem. Easy out. Then you get one more and Cardinals win. No, instead, Jordan Hicks actually kind of topped Jordan Walker because Walker's big moment traveled 440 feet. You had Hicks airmailing a throw that, by my estimate, it went over Paul Goldschmidt's head because, of course, he's not Manute Bol. And that thing traveled, according to my estimate, that wild throw, that airborne debacle, that traveled about 445 feet. So I think Hicks topped Walker. I mean, that's how they lost. Oh my goodness! And Twitter was lighting up last night. And if you enter St. Louis Cardinals today on Google, hit the news tab. You'll see, all over the place, just Cardinals ridicule, people making fun of them, their own fans everybody making fun of them. And it's a shame because, look, they got another horrible, horrible, horrible start from Matthew Liberatore, who lasted 7 batters through 21 pitches, only got 1 out, gave up 4 runs. So they're down 4-0. Last night in the first inning, after about 16 seconds, they're down 4-0, and it's like the same old. I give that team credit, man. I give the hitters credit. They battled back not once but twice, maybe even 3 times. I can't even remember. But no, they battled back repeatedly to tie the game, and then took their first lead on that Walker 2-run blast. And to throw that game away, pun intended, to throw that game away, it's just sad because on a night where you really kind of were rooting for them because you like to see the spirit, you like to see the fight, you like to see the competitiveness. They weren't going to let up. The guys that were holding the bats, they deserved a lot of credit for what they did. I mean, a win is a win is a win, and I never lose sight of that. That's the bottom line. But no one packed it up. They kept going, and they should have won that game. The hitters deserved to win the game. And listen, I'm not going to – one thing I'm not going to do, and we got more important things to talk about, but one thing I'm not going to do is just trash Jordan Hicks. I can make fun of the mishap. It was just crazy. He just totally froze up. Wasn't sure where to throw it. They're giving conflicting versions in the Cardinals clubhouse last night. He thought Contreras was telling him to throw somewhere else. Another infielder was telling him to throw here. So he kind of got locked up, and did the worst thing imaginable because look, he would have even though the runners were in motion, they took off before the pitch. The guy that was running sprinting into third base, and he wanted to see if he could draw a throw from Hicks to try to get Hicks to make the kind of mistake that he actually did make. Hicks had so much time to get the out at first. All he had to do was turn and look the runner back just to hold him in his tracks, but he didn't do it. He kind of locked up, just lost his composure for a second, and sent that thing flying. That's just a brutal way to lose a game. But you know what? He's done a great job as a closer. Last night was not like you sit here, is not really sharp. He allowed a hit and a walk, but he did have an out. He should have had two. I would have had confidence in him. I really would have, in him getting the third out. So the worst thing that can happen to Jordan Hicks is he lets this get to him and stay with him, and he kind of goes in the tank again as far as confidence and all that stuff. So I hope he doesn't, because he's really, really good. The Cardinals need him to pitch very, very well over the next couple of weeks to enhance his trade value. Same is true with Jack Flaherty's start tonight, as the Cardinals try to at least get one win out of 4 games down in Miami. And they need Jack Flaherty to pitch well tonight, not only because I'm sure the people down there in Cardinals uniforms would like to win a game, but also because Jack Flaherty, to me, it's the most obvious guy that's going to be traded from the Cardinals. And the better he pitches in his last 3 starts before the trade deadline, you would figure the more appealing he would be. Not that you're going to get any big treasure chest for him. You're not going to do that's not going to happen. He's in his walk year, but maybe you can get something that at least would give the front office some excitement, or they'll sell it as excitement anyway. So Cardinals are a season low 16 games below 500. They are a season worst 12 and a half games out of first place. Those Reds, they're running, they're gunning, they're going nuts. They just keep winning and winning and winning. I mean, they're just like kind of rabid in their pursuit of wins, and people can continue to. I don't know who's scoffing at them, but if anybody is, and yes, we know that their starting pitching ain't that good, but they managed to just continue to just pour on the runs with all the little things and big things they do, and they play pretty good defense, or they have been lately, and the bullpen just does not cough it up late, and that's a very bold and confident team, and they're propelled by a bunch of rookies who have been really phenomenal. I mean, they're one of the best stories in baseball in this first half of the season. So is anybody out there, and listen, man, if you're an optimist, you can be. Is anybody out there even seriously entertaining or considering the possibility of the Cardinals coming back and winning this division? Jim, I think I always held a little bit of a possibility out there. But, it's just gotten to the point now. It's like, what's the use? Now, yeah, we'll always talk about what their record is, where it ranks in franchise history after X amount of games. I'll tell you about that in a minute. And updating the standings. But the lack of continuity and the terrible pitching, like in the early innings and then in the late innings, and the defense, the base running, the offense is doing fine. All offenses are inconsistent. I always call the Cardinals offense inconsistent, but you know what? They all are. So, I don't know that the Cardinals are that much different or that much worse than any other team who has a lineup that's got a lot of good hitters, but yes, sort of falls into a no-hit zone for a while, especially with runners in scoring position. But they're not the reason why this team's sitting here with a dreadful 35-51 record through 86 games. So, Jim, but you're not giving up on them. They got a 4.9% chance of winning the division, according to Fangraphs, and you are irate that Fangraphs is counting them out.
I don't know how that. I don't understand why. There's still games to be played. I mean, we have so much after the All-Star. Well, okay, maybe not. I can't even convince myself of that. But to your point, I think I've lost it here within the last 2 weeks, because when they split that thing in England with the Cubs,
right?
Even though Saturday was awful, they won the game on Sunday. I said, okay, well, let's see what they do with Houston and the Yankees coming to town, right? Let's just see. well, you lost 2 or 3 to Houston, and then you did won the series with the Yankees, but now this thing has just gone so far south. And here's the other thing that wasn't occurring in May, which you just mentioned. The Reds are starting to put some distance, and the Brewers, those two teams are starting to put distance behind you. And you've gone too far the other way to be able to realistically think you can get back in this, because there's no wild card hope. It's only division only right now. And after watching Bernie pitchers go out there that just can't get anybody out, I mean, there's no hope at this point. I after the All-Star break, I'll be curious to watch just to see what 5 starters they throw out there at this point, because it's crazy. Last night's game, look, I was when we left Friendly's last night, which was fun again yesterday, turned it on as I was driving home. I love John Rooney when he gets a little perturbed, because you can tell it in his voice. And he's giving out the numbers. He goes, well, Matthew Liberatore lasted a third of an inning on just 21 pitches, and that was enough. And just the way he says it, you just go, wow, okay, John just flat out says, that's enough. No more of that. And even Rick Horton on the radio side was trying to, hey, here's an opportunity for Dakota Hudson. But he's walked 3 guys, so that's not working well. It was just one thing after another to watch this team. They come back. And like you said, it was almost like the best and the worst moment in that 9th inning for this team this far. The best moment was the Jordan Walker home run. You go, wow, kid came up in a big moment. And then you see what took place in the 9th, and it was just the opposite, the biggest collapse that you could imagine this season. You can't – I think for a comedy routine for myself, the relief last night was watching the play, and I go, Paul Goldschmidt didn't even move. He just looked up and went, well, that's way over my head. Can't get that.
No point.
It's like, oh my goodness.
Be on stilts to get that one.
Yes. It was, wow. It was crazy.
So, yeah, Liberatore was sent down today. A lot of that just has to do with the fact that they need a fresh arm. But really, he's terrible. I don't know how else to say it. We'll get into it. I mean, he's just terrible, and I feel stupid for really, really believing that he was ready to be a solid major league starter. And, they did jerk him around for a time. In fact, I saw a note where there's only been 3 times this year he's pitched on, like in terms of a routine. It's been all over the place. Like yesterday, he pitched on short rest. And so they haven't exactly helped him, but I'm not going to sit here and make it all the Cardinals' fault. Liberatore, I hate to say this, but just like we were talking about it at Friendly Sports Bar and Grill, South County yesterday, his start before this one, he went out against the Yankees and he was throwing 89, 90 miles an hour fastballs, and they were clobbering him. And, Marmol and Coach iPad were concerned about the velocity, and they asked him about it. He said, oh, no, I'm doing that intentionally. I'm throwing my fastball to lower velocity because I think I can control it better. And I think Marmol was kind of restrained in what he really wanted to say publicly about it, but they told him, you got to throw it 93, 94. You don't have a chance. What are you talking about? So Liberatore, to my surprise, has got the head case factor. And and until he grows out of it, if he does, I gotta put him in the head case camp, and the Cardinals members of the head case camp have been in recent times Dakota Hudson, Jack Flaherty, until recently, because again, I'm not going to condemn him for last night, but Jordan Hicks spent many months in the head case category, and I think we have to make a seat there for Matthew Liberatore, because none of this stuff makes sense. Yeah, I'm going to throw it in 89, 90. Anyway, I'm sorry because I talked about that yesterday, but I still can't get over that. So he went down, and listen, man, I'm not sitting here trying to find everything I can to pick on when it comes to the Cardinals, but they brought up right-handed reliever Kyle Leahy. I know the organization, or Leahy, like Pat Leahy. I know the Cardinals organization likes him. He was a 17th round pick, but he sort of exceeded where he was drafted in terms of the Cardinals, considered him a prospect. But I got to tell you something, and I wish the young fellow well. Well, he's 26, so he ain't that young, but you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. This will be his major league debut. I'm looking at what he did at Memphis out of the bullpen. 27 games, he's got a 4.06 ERA. He has struck out a batter an inning, but his overall strikeout rate is still 22%. That you need better than that from a reliever especially. But this is another example of this is all you need to know about the Cardinals. Add another one to the collection. So they need pitching. They need someone to get outs in the late innings or even the middle innings. And the best they could do for this assignment was bring up a rookie to make his major league debut after he had gone in his last 7 appearances before getting promoted, his last 7 appearances at Memphis. He had a 6.59 ERA. In 13 2/3 innings, and opponents had a 6.39 slug against them and an OPS over 1,000. So this, in other words, there's no one down there that they think is any better than this. I mean, that you talk about an indictment of a lazy front office, right?
Yes, very much so.
This is it. At least in the past, they'd be bringing up some guy, throw hard, guy would do this, guy had some sizzle to him, And I'm still wondering about this Zuniga guy. We saw him in the World Baseball Classic pitching for whoever it was. And the guy's throwing smoke, and just like nobody could hit him. And I know his stats aren't good down in Memphis, but why don't they want to give him a chance? I just every day it's something different. So, hey, well, it's good they sent Libator out. Yeah, it is. But they're bringing up a guy who is actually pitching worse than him because he's been getting just drilled like his last 7 times out as a reliever. So I don't know, man. I don't know.